When I first started my idea of possibilities, I really did intend it to be an unscripted version. Now, I like the idea of the scripts that I have created. I've liked hypothesizing those ideas. However, I really did like the idea of doing things unscripted and just simply going with the flow and seeing where things went. I often would make these audios and I would ask myself questions like, what if telephone poles were to start to grow branches and leaves again? What prompts me to consider this is, first of all, there is an extremely accelerated growth happening. I see it abundantly everywhere. There are exceptional numbers of flowers blooming on plants. They're very overwhelming in some cases. There's these two, I guess maybe rose bushes, but there's so many flowers that it looks like a giant pink big circle ball. There's so many flowers, you can't even hardly see the green of the leaves. There's so many flowers. And I don't really know if this is supposed to be the way that it is. I bought a dahlia the other day and it had so many yellow flowers on it. And the flowers had actually grown at the bottom levels in between the plants too. And I saw this as, okay, well, they must have used some sort of radiation in order to get it to grow better. However, these plants outside, they have no, their only radiation is the sun. So anyways, I know we're in time of accelerated growth. I have come across in nature there being new life coming from a log. I saw two different logs, one when I was traveling across Canada in some small provincial offside park, and then the other one when I was walking near the UBC. There's some trails near the UBC near Silver Valley. So I believe I saw one there that had a tree branch growing from a log that was being used on the side of a path. Could be wrong, but it leads me to imagine, what if this was possible? Like, I have taken celery and regrown it after it's been harvested and even used by me, and then I let it regrow roots and I put it back in the ground, as I've mentioned before, and it has the ability to reroot itself. There was a branch that broke off of one of my trees, and what I did was I took it and put it into a vase of another plant that was living in the water, and it actually, the part that broke off started to grow these root things. And so I've put it back into dirt now a few months later, and it seems to be growing. So it's a branch that broke off, and then I was able to get it to reroot itself. So who's to say that all of these telephone poles, when we finally do bring them down, because free energy is kind of real, what if they are able to be regrown? See, I have found it amazing to use the parts of a celery plant and letting them continue their lives. Like, they're beautiful plants when they're just naturally allowed to be as they are. Like, some parts, they die off. I just let them die off until they rot off. And, green's green, brown's okay too, whatever it is. But what if that was a possibility? And I see it as more being a possibility that it could happen. Like, I do see that accelerated growth on plants and on trees. And as I said, that I have seen new life grow from a stump. And while some people think that might be that it's being used as a nutrient source for the tree, I believe sometimes that it could possibly be that tree. We don't necessarily know everything that's real about reality. There's things that we're right now learning that break apart some of our foundational so-called historic truths. And so we really don't know how nature truly works. For example, like, we've already recently learned that trees, in fact, do communicate with one another. They are able, through all their underground root systems, to kind of like work together as a community. There's been information I can't really say off the top of my head about specific studies or whatever right now, but there have been studies on tree communication. I hope you enjoyed this possibilities of what if all the telephone poles start growing branches, and it actually might be a really great thing when we do bring down the requirement to pass energy on wires, as opposed to how our ancestors did it with other wireless technology. Like, we even have wireless technology now, putting your cell phone on a little plate and it wirelessly transmitting that energy. So you kind of wonder, well, if that's safe, why can't we just wirelessly send energy from wirelessly? We're already doing it. Anyways, thank you very much for listening, and think of all the possibilities, all the things that could be possible if we can put our minds to it, make it possible. Love beyond bounds. I'm definitely looking forward to that possibility. Real love, I mean, not just for fun, just real, strong. Anyways, love you.